everyone, and I mean everyone's going to be talking about this. It's a massive story. Very big news breaking here. This is from Michael Shellenberger, who says, in 2022, Obama gave a speech at Stanford Cyber Policy Center advocating sweeping censorship of the internet. Now, public has discovered the same center last month hosted a secret meeting with the EU, UK, Brazil, and Australia officials to plot global censorship, including of the US. And I know you're all shocked that the EU, UK, Brazil, and Australia officials are the ones that are in that room together. I'm sure that's all shocking to you. And he goes into a whole story that we'll dive into in a second. But first, we got Savvy, who says, the work never ends. I am so thankful there are others eager for truth. We'll dive into this after my long sleep. And Preston Byrne, friend of the channel, who is currently in a lawsuit with the Office of Communications of the UK, Ofcom, who says, bombshell report by Shellenberger. Foreign censorship agencies are conspiring with U.S. citizens to censor other Americans. These foreign states in question are threatening U.S. citizens. All of my clients with criminal penalties. DOJ should investigate. Let's get back to what is actually happening here, because this is a bomb drop, like massive story. In the spring of 2022, former President Barack Obama gave a major policy address at Stanford University's Cyber Policy Center, where he laid out sweeping proposal for government censorship of social media platforms through the Platform Accountability and Transparency Act. 6 days later, President Joe Biden's Department of Homeland Security announced that it had created a disinformation governance board to serve as an Orwellian ministry of truth with the clear goal of controlling the information Americans could access online. I don't care, by the way, how much you hate Trump. How can you look at Obama and Biden and adore what they were doing? Because this is insanity. This is straight up communism, directly compromising what America stands for. At the heart of Obama's vision for internet censorship was legislation that would have authorized the U.S. government's National Science Foundation to authorize and fund supposedly independent NGOs to censor the internet. I love how they use the Science Foundation. That is classic. That is classic. National Science Foundation. It sounds professional. The DHS and Stanford Internet Observatory, which was part of the Stanford Cyber Policy Center, pioneered this censorship by proxy strategy as a way to get around the First Amendment in 2020, with posts raising concerns about the 2020 elections, and in 2021 with narratives expressing concern about the COVID vaccine. Remember all that disinformation when people are questioning Moderna, Pfizer, wondering the accuracy of the information, being silenced, shut down, banned, and quieted, in some cases imprisoned? The 2024 election of President Donald Trump significantly reduced the threat of Obama, DHS, and NSF censoring the American people. I'm telling you guys again, I don't care how much you hate Trump. The fact that he got elected and put into power as president and didn't get shot and killed, by the way, changed the course of history forever in the best ways. There were two different roads we could have gone down. They tried everything they could, up to and including assassination attempts at his life, and he still survived. Trump defunded much of the censorship industrial complex, which I got to be honest, definitely not easy to do. This is a cabal, a cult. No wonder these people hate this guy so much. The Platform Accountability Act is going nowhere in Congress. Elon Musk fired most of the censorship staff at Twitter and has allowed, that's another one, by the way, Elon Musk buying X, and has allowed significantly wider range of speech on the platform. And even before Trump's election, Stanford donor Frank McCourt stopped funding the Stanford Internet Observatory after public racket news, and House Weaponization Subcommittee Chairman Jim Jordan exposed its central role in the DHS censorship by proxy scheme. Man, this is a book. Let's read, skip ahead and listen to what he has to say here, because this is a massive expose. This is going to be front page news. I'm telling you guys, this is huge, huge.
Hey everyone, it's Mike Shellenberger for Public. In the spring of 2022, former President Barack Obama gave a major policy address at Stanford University's Cyber Policy Center, where he laid out a sweeping proposal for government censorship of social media platforms, including through the proposed Platform Accountability and Transparency Act. 6 days later, President Joe Biden's Department of Homeland Security announced that it had created a disinformation governance board to serve as an Orwellian ministry of truth with the clear goal of controlling the information Americans could access online.
This is insane.
The heart of Obama's vision for internet censorship was legislation which would have given extraordinary powers to the U.S.
Think about this. The whole purpose of why America is to be able to stand up against the government. And the whole purpose of the government is to be for the people, to serve the people. And we have this constitution thing that gets in the way of the government getting too powerful. And we have people like Obama and Biden that are going in trying to work around the Constitution to find ways to hold power over the people. That is so anti-American. It's insane.
U.S. government's National Science Foundation to authorize and fund supposedly independent
if you can censor people, you can control people.
NGOs to censor the internet. The DHS and Stanford Internet Observatory, which was part of the Stanford Cyber Policy Center, pioneered the censorship by proxy strategy as a way to get around the First Amendment by first demanding censorship of posts raising concerns about the 2020 elections, and then in 2021 of posts that promoted so-called narratives expressing concern about the COVID vaccine. The 2024 election of President Donald Trump significantly reduced the threat of Obama, DHS, and NSF to censor the American people and defunded much of the censorship industrial complex. The Platform Accountability Act is going nowhere in Congress. Elon Musk fired most of the censorship staff at Twitter and has allowed a significantly wider range of speech on the platform. And even before Trump's election, Stanford donor Frank McCourt stopped funding the Stanford Internet Observatory after Public, Racket News, and the House Weaponization Subcommittee Chairman Jim Jordan exposed its central role in the DHS censorship by proxy scheme. But now, foreign governments, including ones in Europe, the UK, Brazil, Australia, and others are...
I know you're all shocked that it's the same four. It's literally like a worldwide mafia in a dark room smoking cigars. Like, that's what it is.
Demanding censorship, including of the American people. The risk is that U.S. tech companies will find it significantly less expensive to have a single global censorship regime and just go along with foreign censorship requests.
Because they don't want to make different rules for different regions because that costs a lot of money. So if they just have one to follow, one rule across the world for everything, then they just do that one rule. Problem is, no one agrees on what censorship actually is, and it changes to varying by country by country. So the UK is like all about censoring everything. And it's like, no. And America's like, no, we don't want to censor anything. And we have these big tech companies that because they're bending the knee to other countries, they're like, I guess we need to start censoring America more too. It's like, no, we don't do that here. That's not what we're about. Never have been.
Facebook complied with Biden administration demands to censor because it needed Biden's help in dealing with European censorship officials. And the Brazilian government forced Elon Musk to continue censoring the Brazilian people after it froze Starlink's assets. And Public has now discovered that the Stanford Cyber Policy Center, which is led by Obama's former ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul, is at the...
I'd imagine you got some shady business going on. You got an ambassador to Russia.
Part of a new, secretive, and possibly illegal censorship initiative that appears even more ambitious than the one that Obama proposed in 2022.
I know you're all shocked.
On September 24th, the Cyber Policy Center hosted a secret dinner between its leaders and top censorship officials from Europe, UK, Brazil, California, and Australia.
California? What the fuck? Why is California in here? Get out of here, California. What the? God damn. Fucking Newsom again. Every time, I swear.
The meeting was titled, quote, Compliance and Enforcement in a Rapidly Evolving Landscape. Frank McCourt, the same person behind the Stanford Internet Observatory, financed the gathering through his Project Liberty Institute, or PLI, toward which he gave $500 million to quote-unquote strengthen democracy and quote foster responsible technology. Public emailed all 21 participants and organizers and only heard back from 3: PLI, the Australian government, and the European Union, which declined to comment because even though Public gave it over 24 hours, a spokesperson said that we would need several days. We will update this article if they or others respond. Quote, PLI has made unrestricted gifts to several academic research programs, including Stanford University, a spokesperson said. PLI does not receive funding from governments, intergovernmental organizations, or large technology companies. But PLI's own policy blueprint reveals that it is demanding a single total global censorship regime and intends to use the EU's market power, known as the Brussels effect, to force big tech companies to comply. The blueprint calls for governments to, quote, recommit to a single global internet with, quote, regulatory interoperability and oversight to achieve a single unified market.
Now ask yourself, why is everything so secret? Because they know that nobody is going to go along with this. So they're trying to do it behind the scenes. It just got exposed. This is so big.
And to use the large size of the EU market to, quote, drive bilateral and multilateral agendas to formally enshrine reciprocal guarantees.
Wow.
A spokesperson for the Australian government said...
And you got to imagine there's a lot of money being exchanged right now for people to go around and be okay with it. Especially higher up in places like Brazil and stuff. Like, holy.
Attendance at Stanford for the 2-day conference. Some attendees, including trust and safety researchers, industry, civil society, and government representatives, were also invited to attend an informal gathering roundtable event organized by Stanford University entitled Compliance and Enforcement in a Rapidly Evolving Landscape. This roundtable did not involve any discussion of compliance coordination or regulatory information sharing. The Australian spokesperson claimed that e-safety has no role in regulating hate speech.
Hey, whatever the Australian spokesperson says about what was discussed, just assume it's the opposite.
Or disinformation. E-safety has no remit or interest in regulating the affairs of other nations, nor does it have any role in diplomatic, trade, or other government-to-government relations.
Doesn't it get hand caught in the cookie jar? It's not what you think. We were just moving the cookies around so that we could clear the air and put the cap back on better or something.
But it also said, as the internet is global and functions irrespective of national borders, by necessity, e-safety collaborates with law enforcement, other government agencies, and non-governmental partners around the world, including in the United States. The leaked agenda's stated purpose was to, quote, discuss the state of compliance and enforcement in order to identify where data research and expertise can enable more effective compliance with and enforcement of existing policy. Moreover, much of the following 2 days of the public conference were focused on coordinating government censorship, so-called regulation, of social media platforms, and the other nations that attended the meeting are all intensively involved in censoring their citizens and U.S. tech companies.
Well, they know the biggest hurdle is U.S. tech companies because the U.S. is not following the rules of what they want to implement.
And the head of Australia's e-safety, Julie Inman Grant, who was the keynote speaker.
Oh, shit. I've made videos on Julie. Oh, man. Savvy's going to have a field day with this. I already know. Oh, man. She was the one behind all the pushing the KID stuff and the digital ID. Oh, man. It's such a small world. It's such a small world when you get down to it. Holy.
At the Stanford Foreign and Censorship.
No, not Collective Show. It's unrelated.
Meeting is also the head of a global government censorship network that serves as the forum, she told the World Economic Forum, to help us coordinate, build capacity, and do just that.
These people are fucking evil. This is like demons on earth type evil. The shit that they're trying to do right now.
We use the tools that we have and can be effective, but we know we're going to go much further when we work together with other like-minded independent statutory authorities around the globe.
Yeah.
As such, the people who are demanding censorship are once again spreading disinformation about what they are doing. All of this is happening in a context of global censorship intensifying. The UK government arrests 30 people a day for offensive social media posts, is attempting to censor 4chan, which has no servers in the UK, and will mandate digital IDs for employment, which may give unprecedented control to politicians and bureaucrats to censor.
Yep.
The Brazilian government has for years been censoring journalists and policymakers, incarcerating people for legal social media content, and threatening prosecution of journalists, including myself. And several European nations are censoring and arresting their citizens, preventing opposition political candidates from running
They want to scare people from daring to stand up against them
for office, and preparing to implement digital IDs.
Yep.
So why did
the whole digital ID thing, I knew that was just the beginning. That was the massive slippery slope. Here it is. Now we're actually seeing what they're doing. Holy shit.
did the Stanford Cyber Policy Center hold this meeting in the first place? And what is its strategy for global censorship? Who leaked the agenda to public and why? And what can be done to stop Stanford, Brazil, Australia, the EU, and others from realizing their totalitarian censorial vision? The Stanford Cyber Policy Center and the other participants in the global censorship meeting have close ties. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe now to Public, to watch the rest of the video, to read the rest of the article, and most of all, to support the fight for free speech around the world.
I mean, shout out to this guy. Holy shit. That is a fucking huge expose. And I know no one's really surprised that it's starting with Obama. It's, by the way, self-admitted, I voted for Obama because back then I thought that this guy was just the good guy representing America. And as time's gone on, I'm like, this guy's fucking worse than Nixon. Holy shit. The more we find out about what he was doing behind the scenes, how many places he bombed, how much censorship he was trying to implement, the secret deals behind the scenes, like, holy shit. Trump was right about this Obama guy. He's yikes, bro. Yikes. It's going to get very ugly. It's going to get very ugly. This is just the tip of the iceberg. My God, that is nuts. That is absolutely nuts. Here's the leaked agenda from the Stanford Cyber Policy Center's secret foreign censorship meeting on September 24th, 2025. Here we go. The agenda, the welcome campus tour, compliance and enforcement, and a rapidly evolving. This feels like a fucking 80s movie plot. Like, this is crazy. This is real life. What the hell? Oh, would you be shocked if I said Jonathan Porter, senior economic advisor, Ofcom? I know you're all shocked. Joanna Smolinska, deputy head of EU office in San Francisco. What the hell? This is wild. Pull Stanford's federal funding. AI overview. Yes, Stanford receives federal funding primarily through research grants. We got to stop funding this shit. Taxpayers paid for it. Yep. This is wild. Like I said, just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm sure Savvy's going to do a massive deep dive on this, which I will definitely be covering because I'm sure there's more information that's going to be uncovered with this. And even after that, there's going to be more that comes from this. And I think this is the first domino to fall. Ultimately, Obama should be very concerned right now. Because if I was him and this came out, I'd be like, oh, that's not great. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted. But for now, I'm going to leave that right there.